Hello, welcome back to Like Dreamer. Not long after my Maniac All Plus clear, we now have for you Expert All Plus clear. Let's get into it. So let's see, I basically had one failed attempt at Expert. Well, it wasn't a failed attempt, I got all clear. Which, with how this game has the feature where you can kind of reaction bomb after you get hit, makes getting the clears a little bit easier than other games. But yeah, I got hit just one too many times, so I only got the all clear. So that unlocks Nightmare mode, which I was starting on. I wasn't sure if I was going to go for the all plus clear or just get right into Nightmare mode. So I think that the jump from, it seemed like from Maniac to Expert mode, it was a pretty gradual increase in the difficulty. Small, not a huge jump. And it's kind of just like do Maniac, but faster. Some of the bullet patterns might be different. I don't have none of them stood out to me as different enough to really change my strategy, which is not much of a strategy. It's just what has kind of been honed in after playing through these different modes. The one place where I have some semblance of a strategy is really just maybe the Stage 8 boss and all the Stage 9 stuff. But I was practicing quite a bit of Nightmare. Well, not practicing so much as trying to just clear the kind of story mode. You have to do that before you unlock Nightmare Trial mode. Now Nightmare, unlike the step from Maniac to Expert, Nightmare mode is like, okay, this is now, I would say, harder than any of the Mushi Hime-sama modes that I've beaten. Like the hardest mode I beat being like 1.5 Maniac Max. And I believe that feels to me that Nightmare mode here is going to be harder than that. It could just be, though, biased because I've been playing. Like, yeah, you see that Stage 1, not too remarkable. I felt that I could mostly get through that without much of a game plan and without much trouble. But it's hard to say now, because now that I've played enough shmups, I don't have as much of a sense of what it would be like for me of a couple months ago to go up against that. So maybe I'm less sensitive to changes in difficulty until it hits the kind of place where I've currently plateaued. I don't think I've actually plateaued, I just mean where my current skills are at. And that seems to be Nightmare mode. Stage 8 of Nightmare, I was able to get all the way, beat all the stages up to and not including Stage 8, just playing them through a couple times. So I guess compared to Mushi Hime-sama, where I had to look up a route and really practice those routes a lot, I guess if I think about that aspect, maybe Nightmare mode isn't as hard. I'm just so used to being able to play through this game without a strategy. And so now when I finally hit Nightmare mode where it's like, okay, I'm gonna need to look at somebody's route. If only I happen to know a fellow shmup player plays this game. Well, I'll have to see who has a video of Nightmare with this character, or maybe this isn't the right character. I don't know. I've been doing okay with them. But maybe the speed is just too much. Maybe I need more precision. And there's no logic behind what stages I'm picking on my trial run. In fact, I probably should have put some more thought into it, and I might be forced to do that for expert. I just pick whatever is the default. I just press A as soon as it tells me to pick the next stage. I don't even really... I'm not sure that I even like the stages that I'm picking as much. Like, we're not playing through the kind of gamer-themed stage, and I like that one. So maybe I'll change up my route just so I can play that one. But I'm just trying to stick with what's familiar so I have the highest chance of clearing it. Got a little out of hand here, but starting to get a little bit better at these arrows, just a little bit. I feel like I have just a little bit more ability to process them than I have been. This was a really fun playthrough. It wasn't as, I would say, do I dare say it? Can someone of my generation say hype and have it not be very cringe? I don't know. But it wasn't as hype as clearing a Mushi Hime-sama mode that I've been practicing for a week, but it was still a really fun run, and I always get excited when I get to stage 9 boss. It's just really great level of challenge. And I really like the music there too. It just goes absolutely crazy high BPM techno. Or what is that called? No. I don't know my techno subgenres that well. Hardstyle? Can't remember. Anyway. I do like that. This stage I noticed playing through it. Okay. This is kind of a... It felt very repetitive, so I might not want to keep playing this stage because, I don't know, it just felt like it's the same thing over and over again, and then they just speed it up. And maybe if that's what they were going for, that's fine. Or I might be confusing it with the next one. But yeah, you got the submarine on the right, and the submarine on the left, submarine on the right, and or the eel on the left, eel on the right. I don't know. But there's something to be said for repetitive sections because it really feels like rhythmic and puts you into a flow state, kind of like almost like a rhythm game. And that's kind of nice, as opposed to constant variety. A pattern that you just have to repeat multiple times to show that you really got it. There seems to be... I've played quite a lot of rhythm games not recorded. You see, we're just going back and forth with the eel and then some other enemies showing up, forcing you to just stream in one direction. Played quite a few rhythm games. You know, I actually played quite a bit of Dance Dance Revolution, well, Step Mania, on a pad, not on a keyboard. It was a really great workout. Until I couldn't find a pad that would last longer than a few months. That was kind of disappointing. And I did not want to invest in a metal pad. And like Citus was a really fun one. But so I played a lot of rhythm games, and there's a lot of similar... The experience of playing those is really similar to playing these games. Like shooting games. obviously it's different skills, but the general idea of a fixed length thing that you have to execute. Although with a rhythm game, it's telling you exactly what you need to do. With an action game like a shooting game, you have the freedom to move around and do what you think is best. So that's a big change. So this guy, I always try to just go to the opposite side of wherever that shot comes off, so I have nice good amount of time to dodge those waves of red fireballs. And then just hang out at the bottom of the screen. And I like to move up a lot more aggressively in this game, which, if you can handle it, seems to be a good thing to do in general, because not only do you do more damage, but you have more maneuvering room, and if you think you need more reaction time, you can always just back off. And sometimes it's easier to dodge shots when you move backward with them. That pattern started to get a little bit like, I don't know if I can do this towards the end, but I just managed. That was unfortunate. Yeah, I think I get shot about 3 times before I get to the true last boss, so it was just about not going to make it. And although I didn't practice specifically on expert mode at all, I think all of the, because everything's similar, just faster, it's not exactly similar. I'm sure there's a few variations in the patterns, like they're more dense, but the fundamental behavior is still there. I think that prepared me for expert mode in a nice, gradual way. But then Nightmare is gonna be figuring out routes for some stages, because it's getting to the point where my intuitive route is not cutting it. Especially stage 8. And something I did do differently this stage that I kind of learned from playing Nightmare mode is, if you can manage it, staying higher up on the screen actually makes things easier, because you can kill the enemies faster. So you control the space a lot more. And I think that's going to be critical in making Nightmare mode a little easier, is knowing when I can get closer to the top. So that worked out really well for me in this stage. And it was my first time really trying it, too. But there's enough time and enough warning of when someone's gonna appear that you can do it without getting caught by surprise with point-blank shots. And always, when those big enemies that clear shots come on the screen, I just try to clear them as fast as possible. And here's the hidden extend. Just have to beat it before the timer passes 14, I think, in the top right. And with this character, with other characters you probably have to bomb, but with this character and this loadout, she does so much damage that you don't have to, as long as you're keeping your shots on target. And I'm also spending a lot of time holding A rather than trying to spread out my shots a little bit by not holding shot. I'm holding A so it does more damage, so I can just kill individual enemies faster. So I'm kind of tapping and releasing A. You know, hold A, release, go to the next enemy. Hold A, release, go to the next enemy. That seems to be just a little bit faster, but I could be wrong. In some cases, when we have those swarms of popcorn, though, I definitely just keep it released. You don't really need the extra damage. Like these guys, for example, I'll hold it. And quit killing those moons is one of my priorities. Now the sun boss. I'm not sure if you actually have to break every piece of the sun. This is just how I've always done this boss, and I've never tried anything else. So this might be more of a score milking way to fight this boss, but somehow I always end up doing this. So I wouldn't necessarily take this as the ideal way to fight the boss. I just don't know. Haven't tried anything else. Got a little bit of amen break there. Nice. In the soundtrack. I usually try to weave through those flames, but I found that just staying on the outside of those groups of threes prevented me from running into the blue shots. Yeah, that's not the right way to do that pattern, but I was making a mental note to come back and practice this if I didn't win. I've never had issues with this one if I just hang out at the top here. When they start to overlap more, kind of drifts down towards the bottom if I need to, but I try to regain the space if I can. It was a nice break playing Stage 8 on this mode, coming from playing it on Nightmare. Still have not had a successful Stage 8 on Nightmare, but I haven't taken a look at a super play yet. I've just picked it up yesterday and I was just messing around. I didn't really have time to focus on this, so after I record this, I think that's what I will focus on. Just trying to unlock it in the first place. I think Nightmare is gonna take me more than a couple days. Unlike all these other modes. It's kind of tricky there with the dog, soldier, and the guys on the right, but I found if you get close to the dog and just move back slowly behind the blue needles, you can kill the dog before the needles trap you. And actually that's a similar strategy to what I have been doing on Nightmare for this stage. And don't forget, there's not just Nightmare, there's also Chaos. After I get through Nightmare. If I do. As you can see, still trying to stay nice and high. Here's the other extend. I think where the extend shows up depends on what character you're playing. I think it's when you shoot the character that looks like your own. That's the one that drops the extend. This is a cool one. One of those kind of repetitive sections that has a rhythm to it. It's nice. This guy, I'm looking to dash up and to the right through those fireballs, and then back to the center, and then do it again, but I didn't quite execute that how I planned. Yeah, that one's tough. I don't know. I should have moved further to the left. I think when you move to the corner, it gives you the most time to dodge those overlapping needles, but that's needs to be a practice section, I think. Really, a lot of the stages, as they start to become more dense, or just seem to be about following that U shape and just looking for the spot to weave through. It's kind of like the spine section on stage 3 Mushihime-sama, just forever. One interesting thing about these soldiers I've found is they can't aim. There's a certain point where they shoot straight instead of aiming at you. So I think there's maybe fixed angles that they can shoot at. So there's spots where you can hang out between them and hit them all, and they just shoot right past you when you have the soldiers in a row. Those big submarines just stream really slowly in one direction as you take them out, and then back the other. Now this guy I've been having trouble on. This would be another practice section if I needed to. I guess I ended up having the bomb. Okay. But yeah, that aimed shot comes at you so fast and for so long. It gets hard to plot a route through the fixed pattern while dodging that, I think. And even more so on Nightmare. That's a section that definitely gets me. This is a cool pattern. I don't know how I can do it, but I can usually manage to do it. I guess not there. I know if I practiced it more, I could get it. Even though it seems pretty tough. And then this one's just pretty simple. I just alternate between the two lanes. This one, I think I succeeded, but ideally here I would like to be in a position where the really tightly grouped lines aren't aimed at me, but I kept running into those and having to do really precise micro dodge, so I think there's an easier way to do that pattern that I just, due to lack of practice, didn't get. And this one I still haven't practiced, so I don't know. the right way through there. Talking about the blue and red fireballs, not the last one, which was just due to my slow reaction. Hey, didn't have to do that whole pattern, so that's nice. Another fun one. And clearly I need to practice. I do not like this one. I assume the trick is to start on one side and just try to kill as many as possible as you slowly move to the right, but I guess I didn't execute that very well. I really, really like that you can bomb after you get hit because it encourages you to take risky micro dodges that you aren't sure you'd be able to do. And that is like really in line with what I was saying about driving the limit when I was talking about racing games, is that sort of thing allows you to push your limits risk-free as long as you're ready to mash the bomb if you do get hit. So I think that's a really great way to develop your skill, because you can see just how reliable can you get with those micro dodges that you thought previously you couldn't do, or just your fast movement in general, especially with a fast character like this one. It lets you build confidence with movement in a way that would be risky and inadvisable if you're going for clears in a game where you have to bomb before you get hit. I do have a strategy here, but I haven't practiced it on expert mode, so just trying to get through the fireballs on the right or the left side, wherever the gap is, but no, didn't happen this time. There was going to be a lot of bombing and a lot of hits. I was planning to go practice this stage if I didn't succeed. Go practice this a bunch because I knew this was just going to be the limiting factor. And that section back there with the lines of needles, it's really more about identifying, for me, it's not about moving quickly through it. What has to happen first is it's identifying a route. It's quickly identifying the path you want to follow, and then your fingers executing that path flawlessly without you having to consciously think about it. And I think that's like, I've gotten caught off guard by that pattern so many times. It's just suddenly right in your face. Do not try to point blank that one. I think as you get to kind of a mid-moderate level of skill, that's how it manifests, is being able to know the path you want to take and being able to follow that more and more precisely. And then your skill focuses on quickly identifying those paths. Quickly identifying the path, planning the whole route out, and executing it. This didn't go how I usually want it to. I usually start on the left and swap over to the right and just repeat that, so I have as much time as possible to dodge. But I guess I got behind, and I just kind of failed to dodge and had to bomb, so that was the real issue. And I knew what this guy does, but I wasn't respecting the homing shots enough, so I got one from behind, because they last a lot longer than the other stage that they appear on. This is a fun one, as always. I think it's a little faster and harder than Maniac. And some of these patterns, it would actually be, when they start to reach a certain angle, that's always a tough one for me, though. I have a hard time seeing the blue pattern when there's the red needles. And I ran straight into a blue needle. But yeah, with the sun, when those rows start to get very slanted, I think it's probably better to try to pass through the row rather than macro dodge it. But I just maybe kind of lucked out that macro dodging every row back and forth just worked out for me. Three lives, 3 mental level. Have a pretty good chance here of succeeding. I didn't know how different the boss was in this mode either, so I didn't really know what to expect. I thought it would probably just be the same pattern but faster or more dense, and that is pretty much what it is. Which I'm totally fine with. This felt somehow easier. Like I felt like there were more gaps in the needles than there are in Maniac. So I wasn't sure what that was about. This is definitely harder, though. These come a lot faster. But I felt like I was able to keep up with that one. Like it wasn't too fast for me. And now the real serious time begins. This one I also managed to do a little bit better. What I was conscious of here was try to be in a position of the screen that's the most optimal for dodging, but at the very end there I screwed that up. And I don't know the right positioning for that pattern. It's different. That one's way different on... I mean, it still boils down to go to the exactly right position you need to be, but I wasn't sure what that position was. And remember, she has a bomb shield, not a hyper shield. But, so the only good thing that bombs are is basically extra lives, and also as a way to build hyper. That's why I go right up to her every time I bomb. Never had to survive this long on this phase. And the pattern gets really, just completely out of sync. And this comes really fast compared to Maniac. But I know with a bit of practice I could get this one to be somewhat consistent. What I don't know is how hard is it on Nightmare? Am I going to end up with Nightmare being like, yeah, there's no way I'm doing all plus. I'm just gonna have to go for all on Nightmare. And that might be the case. At least at first. If it presents a good enough step up in difficulty, then I'll do it. Because that's what I need at my current shmup career. So I managed to get a nice hyper off to make that, after all of my point blanking, to make that nice and easy. And really important to not die there because it drains your hyper meter, but I had that a few times. So that was Expert Trial, all plus, and I will continue pushing forward with Nightmare mode now. I haven't even unlocked the trial mode with it yet, so I think I'm going to have to take this game a little bit more seriously and actually study some replays if I want to get through Nightmare mode. But still enjoying this game. Still think was a good choice for the next step for me versus Mushihime-sama Ultra. And look forward to more later. Get out there and play some shmups, and I will see you next time.